Hi. This particular very short segment of the comment section, I'm going to be talking about a book and just my personal experience with suicide. And during the course of the review, I say, oh, this may not actually be a book I'd want to pick up unless I was feeling really up to it. And I realized, well, if I say that, I should also probably put a thing at the beginning of this video saying, you know what, if you're not up to some mentions, discussions about suicide, I guess brain trauma as well, that this is probably a video to skip at the moment. But if not, go ahead. If it's not the time, that's awesome. It's nothing earth-shattering, and we'll meet later on the internet. Hello, it's the comment section. This might very well be a comment section of one today. We'll see how it goes. Maybe it will just get shuffled off into the ether somewhere else. If not, I've got a comment. My first comment is on Rick McDonnell's review of A Working Theory of Love by Scott Hutchinson. First off, just say I'm going to put a link to Rick's review down below. If you haven't seen the review, you should really see that first. This is just a little echo, my reaction to his video, my little comment, my little personal thing that I wasn't particularly able to jam into a comment that starts off with "fuck." That's, I believe, how I started my elegantly phrased missive. But yeah, I'd like to talk about this video and give a little reaction to it. It's been a little while that it's been out, so yeah, let's go see it and then come back. Okay, you've done all that. So yeah, he is reviewing A Working Theory of Love, which I haven't read, but Rick has read apparently several times. He kind of comes back to it. It kind of brings him a certain amount of joy, comfort, it seems, judging from his review. And it's about a father a son whose father has committed suicide, but he's left behind a bunch of journals, diaries, notes, and that son is using this to kind of program an AI so that he can actually kind of have a relationship with his father, be able to actually talk with his father in a way that he wasn't able to when his father was alive, because his father wasn't that kind of dude, which I can totally relate to, thinking about my own father. And I think the wonderful thing about this review is that it does that beautiful thing where the reviewer tells you, well, why do I respond so much to this book? And in Rick's case, it's because, as you've seen in his video, there was a car accident when he was like 1 year old, 1 years old, and his father suffered serious brain injury, and that basically caused Rick's father's personality to change dramatically, going from sort of what sounds like a kind of rather shy, sensitive, artistic fellow to someone who is kind of angry, all sorts of stuff. Doesn't go into it, but he's a different man. I think Rick says that the guy that had him with his mother died effectively in that car crash, and he grew up with a different person, and that he spent a lot of time being angry with the father that remained or was, but has come to a kind of love and have a relationship with that father, but that he finds that he's basically kind of building back up his father book by book in the end. And I guess I come at it from a couple of different angles of why I responded so much to this video. My own father committed suicide when I was 17. He was an alcoholic, and yeah, he just, one day it was too much. He'd lost his job and all that, and he went into the hospital, went to the bathroom and shot himself. and that sort of splintered, still kind of destroyed, what ties I had with my family at that point. We were pretty dysfunctional past then. Yeah, and so it's I can. Sounds like probably the Working Theory of Love would be one of those books I would very trepidatiously want to pick up, just because of that. I find, stuff on suicide, for obvious reasons, brings up a lot for myself, and a lot of times that's too much for myself, depending on where I'm at a lot of the time. And also, I live with someone who has had brain injury. Nowhere near the point that what Rick describes of his father, but I've seen the change in that person. Luckily, that person's personality has remained intact, but capacity has gone down, and that's changed our lives quite a bit. So yeah, it's it's like the book. It's one of those, like, it's an amazing review, and a beautiful review, and a beautiful sharing of kind of a life of a part of Rick's life, and why that book means so much to him, and just sort of the beauty of that books can do that, and that books can be used to used to build a life, used to that books are an imaginative way of maybe seeing stuff that might have been. You know, my relationship with my father was very damaged well before his suicide. On the day of his suicide, I was desperately hoping he would just walk out that door and never come back, and he never did. And I've had to kind of live with that as well. You know, I don't blame myself for what happened to my father. I did for a long time. You know, I'm probably as old as my father was when he committed suicide now. There's a lot of ways I see myself in my father, and a lot of ways I don't. Yeah, yeah. I don't know where I'm going with this, other than, yeah, thank you, Rick. That was a beautiful review, and while I may not pick up a Working Theory of Love anytime soon, I'm gonna probably think on your review, and it's always a good thing to come back to, I think, in a healthy way. And I think that was a healthy way to get back to it. There's sometimes that when people talk about their loss or their stuff, that it feels like more like you're going through the trauma with someone, and you're being traumatized, which isn't to say people shouldn't do that, but that your review was a comfort. Yeah, it was a comfort, and possibly a reminder that there are pathways forward. So yeah, so I think that's what I have to say. Thank you, Rick.